Welcome to Southeast Alaska, everybody. We're out here enjoying a low tide before we do some work at the lighthouse here at Cape Decision on Kuiu Island. And oh my gosh, we're just in this like funny little crevice of rock. You can kind of see all this beautiful brown algae here, letting you know we're in the really low tide zone. And there's just so much life in this one little pocket. And so we're gonna explore some of that and talk about some of the cool things that we're finding if we can situate ourselves. So I'm gonna borrow this. And first things first, one of my favorite weirdos in the intertidal zone are these little guys, which let's see if we can focus there. Excellent. These are the leather limpets. This is an air-breathing gastropod that associates with air bubbles when the tide is high, so it can survive in this environment. They are so cute. Let's see if you can find one cruising around showing its eyeballs off, because I think that is just the most delightful thing. There's also all this cool sponge. Sponge is a cool animal, believe it or not, that you could put through a blender and those little cells will reorganize into this creature that filter feeds water all day when the tide is high. I'm also here with my lighthouse buddies.
What do we see?
We have Ian from Gig Harbor.
Hey.
And Ben, who hangs out in Chile most of the time. And of course, me, Stina. And we're just geeking out on some low tide stuff here. There's all sorts of cool kelp with this middle rib. This is a brown algae. We're also seeing these teeny tiny, focus, little chitons here. They're those lined chitons, or maybe another species, I don't know. Southeast Alaska is throwing some curveballs at us. There's also this red algae, that laver or porphyra. That's beautiful to see. What else? We're gonna pop down a little bit lower and look at that blood star that you might have got a glimpse of. But just looking at these rocks, you'll notice all this purple, this coralline algae encrusting on the rocks. We've seen some branching species as well, but really there's just life everywhere. And here's one of those leather limpets with its eyeballs out. So let's see if we can zoom in and watch that for a second. Because, okay, there's two of them in this shot. You can see the eye stalks on the end. I'm certain it just winked at you all because they're cute like that. But I just love them. Okay, popping out a little bit. Here's some of that more branching coralline algae. See how zoomed in we are? Finger for scale. I don't know what that is. A little leather limpet friend on my finger. That's a tiny guy cruising. So cute. We'll just pop you off there. Oh, amazing. Okay, what do you think, guys? Should we head down a little bit lower?
Let's do it.
We're doing it. Carefully, of course, because I don't know, you can't quite tell how cliff-like. Excuse me, this is where the camera work always gets. I'm actually gonna just pass this to you so I can, and it's filming. So.
Oh, it is.
We're good. Okay, I'm gonna take a peek in this crack, cause you know.
We like cracks.
We like cracks, and there's all this red sponge. Higher up on the beach, we saw some of the red nudibranchs, the little teeny tiny, aka forbidden gushers, that we like to joke about. And they're often associated with this red sponge because that's what they like to eat. Gotta hang out with your food. There's also this nice black katy chiton. So that's an animal with the 8 plates. This one, the plates are kind of encapsulated in this blob. We've also been seeing lots of these ribbon worms. I'm guessing they're out hunting. So these, like, here, Ian, if you wanna, those worms stretching across there, a really stretchy worm. And oh my gosh, just like pick a spot on the rock and just take a look, because there's stuff everywhere. There's this little sea star. So it's a 6-rayed star. And more ribbon worms. Again, the leather limpets just crawling all over the place. They are so cute. Right there.
Tiny.
Little teeny baby. And then just like looking up, like there's something just so rugged about Southeast Alaska that you don't get to see tide pools like this, at least from what I'm familiar with in Washington State. So, oh my gosh, there's just sea stars all over in these cracks. And leather limpets, which I'm just loving. That is the black Katy chitin.
Black.
And then a lined chitin next to it. So you can see the one with its shells kind of covered and the one with the 8 plates more exposed. It's like vertical wall just offers all sorts of, you can just like start from the top and look at how the zonation, like, okay, there's the bare rock, and then you start to see the limpets and some of that kind of fuzzy brush algae. Then you go lower to this leafy brown, all the way down to this beautiful purple calcareous. And then you can find things like this cute blood star, which there's another one over there if you want to grab that one, Ian. All this beautiful red algae. Cutie. Oops. Let's see. This one kind of has the texture of a basketball. Hand that over. Pop your gloves off. Oh, and then there's these big barnacles down here. So that one kind of has its feeding mouth parts out, which of course can't eat when the tide is low. Here's a bigger lined chitin. Again, with those leather limpets just everywhere. I'm so stoked about them. This one has that really pretty girdle with the spots and the intricate lines on its shell. There's also some boring sponge. Not that it's boring, it's very cool, it's very exciting. Zoom in there. More of that red sponge. Amphipod, maybe? Nope. Oh, brittle star arm. Kind of in an awkward, let's see if we can carefully grab one of those. We cannot. Wow. There's just so much to look at. Incredible. Alright, should we go even lower? Look at, oh, yeah, because there's some gooseneck barnacles. We gotta keep going.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's sneak a little closer to these buttes. These are...
What are the eggs?
More red. So those are tunicates. So they look like eggs, but they're blobs of... Go back. Like a colonial tunicate. So they're a filter feeder. I'm trying to focus. There's so much light. Yes, little blobs of teamwork, making the dream work. The intertidal zone.
That star upside down there. Uh-oh.
Oh my gosh, you guys. Look at this teeny tiny little star.
Not yet.
Not yet.
In shock.
Another blood star. And then, okay, so back to these gooseneck barnacles. These are an animal that likes high wave action. So, based on what we've seen at the lighthouse so far, there is a lot of waves, but they are just gorgeous with this red color and kind of that flexible part that gives them their name, gooseneck. It kind of looks like it's a plucked feathery neck. They're all closed up while the tide is low, waiting for that tide to come back and bring them food. But I'm curious if this is a different species of gooseneck barnacle, because the red on these guys is just spectacular. Screenshot there. All right. Here's a molt from a barnacle. I'm gonna pass this over to the guys. But barnacles are related to crabs, so they're going to be molting their outer shell. And you can see the little feeding feet, which is cool. Again, more sea stars. This is a 5 raid something. Yeah, that's fun. And then there's more. Focus phone. What do you think, Ben?
So cool. I'm a little overwhelmed.
Yeah, you can kind of just sit here for a while. We're gonna kind of like, can we leave at 11 today? I'm not ready to go back. But here's a peek out and about. This looks like a pretty deep tide pool, so and these rocks are gonna be so slippery, so we might be stuck at this end. But let's peek underneath some of the seaweed here, and oh, I see a sea urchin. This kind of reminds me of if we took tongue point and put it on steroids. This is what we're seeing here. So there's a purple sea urchin in this crack, hiding out. Something maybe to compare to some beaches we're more familiar with in Washington is the fact that this urchin is very much hidden compared to those out near Port Angeles. And that's because the predator sea otters, I wish this is where we'd like cue the sea otter, right? Any sea otters out there? But they come and they like to eat urchins as well as crabs and sea cucumbers. So this urchin is doing a good job of hiding out in this crack so it doesn't get feasted upon by a hungry otter. Also just, oh, that's another, there's just all these new textures to, what, wonder, what's happening? Those gooseneck barnacles, they're getting me. There's the haystack barnacles as well. You can notice on their shells, they kind of have the little, almost looks like chopstick toothpicks, pickup sticks lined together. And then all this beautiful red algae mixed with the brown algae. Not seeing a lot of green algae, which is interesting. There's some more of that sponge. Just fantastic. And another 6-rayed star. You guys, there's we're like I don't know if we can zoom around. We're just like rock climbing in the intertidal zone here. Ah, loving it. All right, well, we're gonna pause and shift to a new spot, but let me say cheers to my adventure friends through the seaweed. Thanks, Ian. Thanks, Ben.
So
we'll keep exploring in this magical, wild, wonderful Southeast Alaska here. Thanks for tuning in.